picture this. You walk over to your fish tank, you're just looking for a little moment of zen, but instead, you see it. Your favorite goldfish is just spinning, spiraling, totally out of control. It is a sight that sends a jolt of pure panic through any pet owner. So today, we are going to unravel this exact mystery.
And this quote, this is a real plea from a Reddit forum. And man, it just perfectly captures that feeling of total helplessness. Your little buddy's in trouble, and you have no clue why. It's a way more common problem than you'd think, and it sends so many people down a frantic and often wrong internet rabbit hole.
Okay, so let's get right into it. This bizarre, frantic swimming is usually called whirling or twirling, and it's a massive red flag that something is seriously, seriously wrong in your aquarium. But what does that even look like?
Now, what's so interesting here is that these descriptions, they're not from some science textbook. They are pulled directly from fish owners who are desperately trying to explain what they're seeing in their tanks. We're not talking about just aimless swimming. This is a violent, disorienting motion that looks just as scary as it sounds. And for a lot of people, one very specific, very scary culprit immediately comes to mind.
Right, so when people see this spinning, they hit Google, and the first thing that pops up is something called whirling disease. I mean, it's got the right name, the descriptions kind of seem to fit, but is this the real villain in our goldfish mystery? Let's actually look at the facts.
So the official whirling disease is a super specific condition. It's caused by a parasite with a very long, very scientific name, Myxobolus cerebralis. And you'll want to pay close attention to this key phrase. It primarily infects fish like trout and salmon.
And for those species, wow, it is absolutely devastating. Especially for young fish, we're talking mortality rates up to 90%. And there's no cure. The only good news really is that it poses zero risk to us or any of our other pets. But this all raises a really important question.
Which leads us to the heart of the matter. If whirling disease is a trout and salmon problem, why is it the #1 suspect when a goldfish starts spinning? Is everybody just wrong? Well, the answer is a little more complicated than a simple yes or no.
Let's just clear the air right now. The chances of your pet goldfish in your home aquarium getting the specific parasitic disease that wipes out salmon populations, they're incredibly, incredibly slim. So you can take a little breath of relief. But don't get too comfortable just yet. Because here's the plot twist. While your goldfish probably doesn't have the famous whirling disease, it can be infected by a relative of that exact same parasite, which can lead to almost identical, terrifying symptoms. This is the key. See, Myxobolus cerebralis belongs to this huge family of parasites called Myxosporians. You can think of it like a big family of criminals, right? The most famous one goes after trout, but its cousins, they have other targets. For goldfish, there's a condition called hopherelysis, which is caused by a related parasite, and, you guessed it, can produce that same scary spinning. But even that is still pretty rare in a home aquarium. So, if it's almost certainly not the official whirling disease, and it's probably not even its rare cousin, what is actually making your goldfish spin out of control? Well, the answers are usually way less exotic and way, way more common.
According to experienced fish keepers who've seen it all, the investigation almost always points to one of these two suspects: bad water quality or a swim bladder disorder. They might not sound as scary, but trust me, they can be just as deadly.
This right here is exactly why a clean tank is everything. Fish waste, it produces ammonia and nitrates, and if those build up, they become literal toxins in the water. One person on Reddit put it perfectly. They said, "The twirling really makes it sound more like poisoning." And that's exactly what it is. It's neurological damage that's causing the fish to lose control.
And then you've got the second big culprit, swim bladder disorder. Now, another user made a fantastic point about this. It's not actually a disease itself, it's a symptom. All it means is that the fish can't control its balance in the water, and the cause could be anything from simple constipation to an internal infection or even an injury.
And this brings us to what is, honestly, the single most important lesson in all of this: learning to tell the difference between what you see, the symptom, and what's actually causing it, the disease.
This slide just lays it all out, side by side. Whirling is simply a description of a behavior. It's a distress signal. Whirling disease, on the other hand, is a specific diagnosable illness. Your goldfish is showing you the symptom, but the cause is almost certainly not that famous disease. Your job is to figure out what that big red flag is actually pointing to.
So what do? Here are the immediate first response actions that the community recommends. Step 1, and do this right away. Rule out the biggest danger by testing your water for toxins. If the water is totally fine, the next most likely culprit is constipation that's messing with the swim bladder.
So you fast the fish for a few days, then feed it a little bit of a cooked, skinned pea. Sounds weird, I know, but it acts like a natural laxative.
So really, the big takeaway here is this. A spinning fish is absolutely a sign of a critical emergency, but it's an emergency you can probably solve. Don't get distracted by the scary-sounding disease that affects completely different species. Focus on the most likely culprits that are right there in your own tank.
You know, the case of the spinning goldfish really shows how easily a scary-looking symptom can get confused with a specific disease, and that leads to panic and people trying all the wrong things. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other widely believed myths about our pets start to fall apart the second we actually take a closer look?